362 The Temple of Apollo at Daphne, outside of Antioch, is destroyed in a mysterious fire. 794 Japanese Emperor Kanmu relocates the capital from Nara to Heian-kyo, now Kyoto. In 1335 Ex-emperor Hanazono, 95th Emperor of Japan, becomes a Zen priest. In 1383 the 1383-85 crisis in Portugal, a period of civil war and disorder, begins after King Fernando dies without a male heir to the Portuguese throne. In 1575 Foundation of Aguascalientes, one of 32 federal entities of Mexico. In 1633 Battle of Liaoluo Bay, Dutch East India Company defeated by Chinese Ming naval forces in southern Fujian Sea. In 1707 Scilly Naval Disaster, shipwreck of 4 Royal Navy warships and loss of 1,400 men during a storm off the Scilly Isles will prompt 1714 British Act of Parliament competition to find longitude at sea. In 1708 Great Alliance occupies Raisel. In 1746 Princeton University NJ received its charter. In 1797 Andre-Jacques Garnerin makes the first parachute descent from a balloon in Paris. In 1799 Russia leaves Second Anti-French Coalition. In 1827 German chemist Friedrich Wöhler is the first to isolate pure aluminium. In 1836 Sam Houston inaugurated as first elected President of the Republic of Texas. In 1844 Millerite Adventists wait for appearance of Jesus. 1861 First telegraph line linking west-east coasts completed. In 1862 Battle at Old Fort Wayne, Indian Territory. In 1862 Confederate troops reconquer Cumperland Gap, Tennessee. In 1867 Foundation of the National University of Colombia. In 1868 Jacques Offenbach's opera Genevieve de Brabant premieres in NYC. In 1875 First telegraphic connection in Argentina. In 1875 Sons of American Revolution organizes. In 1877 the Blantyre mining disaster in Scotland kills 207 miners. Those widows and orphans who were unable to support themselves were evicted by the mine owners and likely sent to the poorhouse. In 1878 the first rugby match under floodlight takes place between Broughton and Swinton in Salford, England. Edison Perfects Light Bulb 1879 Thomas Edison perfects the carbonized cotton filament light bulb. In 1881 Boston Symphony Orchestra gives its first concert. 1883 First NY Horse Show held Madison Sq Garden. NY's Metropolitan Opera House opens. 1883 New York's original Metropolitan Opera House has its grand opening, with a performance of Charles Gounod's opera Forced. In 1884 General Gordon receives letter of marque. In 1884 International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C. adopts Greenwich Mean Time GMT worldwide and creates 24 international time zones with longitude 0 at the Greenwich Meridian. In 1884 Sporting Life announces that both pennant winners will meet in 3-game series OT 23-25 at Polo Grounds, NYC to determine baseball champion. In 1885 John Ward several teammates secretly form Brotherhood of Prof Baseball Players, First Baseball Union. In 1895 David Belasco's Heart of Maryland premieres in NYC. In 1895 in Paris an express train overruns a buffer stop, crosses more than 30 meters of concourse before plummeting through a window at Gare Montparnasse. In 1899 British troops flee Dundee, Natal, South Africa. In 1904 Russian fleet shoots at British fishing ship. 1906 3,000 blacks demonstrate riot in Philadelphia. Henry Ford takes over. 1906 Henry Ford becomes president of Ford Motor Company. In 1907 a run on Knickerbocker Trust Company stock leads to a nationwide run on US banks and the Panic of 1907. Ringling Bros. buys Barnum Bailey. 1907 Ringling Brothers Greatest Show on Earth buys Barnum Bailey Circus. In 1910 Dr. Crippen is convicted at the Old Bailey of poisoning his wife and was subsequently hanged at Pentonville Prison in London. In 1913 explosion at Stag Canyon coal mine kills 263 workers near Dawson, New Mexico. Only 23 miners survived. How long must women wait? In 1916, suffragette Inez Milholland collapses during a speech in Los Angeles, California, and dies weeks later. Her last words to U.S. President Woodrow Wilson are, "Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?" In 1922, Parsifal Place laid out in Bronx, NY, named after a night in Wagner's opera. In 1924, Toastmasters International is founded. The punch that killed Harry Houdini. 1926, boxer J. Gordon Whitehead sucker punches magician Harry Houdini in the stomach in his dressing room at the Princess Theatre in Montreal. The attack started or helped cause the appendicitis that would take Houdini's life 9 days later. In 1928, China expels all Russian instructors, civil servants. In 1928, E.S.L. Robinson's Far Off Hills premieres in Dublin. Rugged individualism. 1928, Herbert Hoover speaks of American system of rugged individualism. In 1928, Phi Sigma Alpha fraternity is founded at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras campus. In 1929, James H. Scullin forms Australia government. 1930, first concert of BBC Symphony Orchestra at Queen's Hall, under Adrian Boult. In 1930, Blake Razaf Lou Leslie S. Blackbirds of 1930 premieres in NYC. In 1930, SC Genemuiden soccer team forms. In 1932, Charles de Broqueville becomes Premier of Belgium. In 1932, George Corfin Edna Ferber's Dinner at 8 premieres in NYC. Canara B.S. Ascida. 1933, Italian boxer Primo Canara beats Spanish challenger Paulino Ascudon on points in Rome, Italy, to retain the IBU heavyweight title. In 1935, establishment of the rank of Marshal of the Soviet Union. In 1938, Chester Carlson conducts the first successful experiment in electrophotography and later sells it to the Haloid Company, now known as Xerox Corporation, which names it Xerography. Exile of Edvard Benny. 1938, President of Czechoslovakia Edvard Benny goes into exile in London in the aftermath of the Munich Agreement and German annexation of Sudetenland. In 1939, NBC becomes first network to televise a pro football game. Brooklyn Dodgers beat Philadelphia Eagles 23-14 at Brooklyn's Ebbets